What is going on, everybody? Vex30 here, coming with a new video, and today we are going over the balance changes in the new Trickshot update. So instead of doing an entire patch notes read through or go over, I decided just to cover balance changes and do a video specifically leaning towards the changes that were made in this patch in terms of champion balance. Now, there are a lot of things in this patch, and I will leave it down below for you to go read yourself, but there's a lot of stuff I don't really feel interested in covering. A lot of skins, a lot of different changes overall. Like, there was a new map update, Stone Keep. They changed the look of it and some design changes. Now, that is something I'm interested in going over, but I decided not to do it today. There are a lot of changes. New champion, which we went over yesterday in the video, so go check that out if you want to see Sati, the new damage champion in the realm. But outside of that, I'm more interested in balance changes than anything. I am a competitive player. I mean, I'm not a pro player anymore. I used to be a pro player, but I play ranked and I enjoy balance changes, and this is what I like to cover, so let's cover it. So if you do like this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun things in the video, as I do appreciate it a ton. It helps me out a lot. And without further ado, let's go over these changes. So reading through the developer commentary, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Basically, they were saying that based on their analytics, their data internally, they decided to go off the buffs and nerfs, AOC, social media, yada yada, the typical dev stuff they need to say, oh, hey, you know, we're making balance changes for good reason, right? That's all that is. So let's just jump right into it, starting off with Androxus. Defiance, reduce range, and then buying time, reduce ammo scaling. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I find Defiance change to be a little bit weird. I overall have never really enjoyed the punch play style on Androxus, so I don't really mind it. But then reducing the ammo scaling, I don't know, Androxus, at least here in North America and Europe, from what I've seen, Androxus has not been a strong flanker. He has been there and prevalent, but he's not one of the overly picked flankers, though he is up there and he's being picked behind Vora, behind Vatu, and he's still being picked, but I didn't really fully see a reason to nerf him, but I do understand, especially because I know in other regions, I believe one of my comments is saying in Brazil, I want to say Androxus is very prevalent. Please correct me in my comments if I'm wrong, but he seems very prevalent in other regions, so I definitely get it. Atlas. And that's one thing I don't really know about, because I do queue NA and EU, typically EU and NA at night, depending on when I stream on my stream over at Twitch TV Vex30. I don't specifically know metas of the region, so I do appreciate you guys in the comments telling me what is meta in your regions. All right, quick jump cut. I went through the Atlas thing, and I didn't fully understand the temporal divide change, so I had to go look in the game and look it up real quick to make sure I knew what I was talking about. So I cut out what I was saying before, and yeah, this is why it seems kind of weird. But Atlas and Stable Fissure, increased range for 2025, decent buff, but this temporal divide, now that I think about it, is a really weird change, and I don't fully understand it. Reduce cooldown penalty from 65 to 55%. It's a buff to Atlas. Temporal divide, right after they nerfed him, and he's still being banned currently because he's still strong. So I don't understand why they changed it. He's still being banned and still being used a lot, especially at high ranks. Atlas is being banned a lot and played, and his win rate, I don't know his win rate, so I don't fully understand where the devs chose to do this buff. But he's still being banned a ton at the rank I'm at. So maybe at lower ranks he's not being played. I don't know. But it's kind of an unfortunate change at a higher level. Maybe at a lower level he's not performing. I don't know. I don't fully understand this buff. But yeah, like I said, again, I don't have the information here. They said it is making it more difficult to play, which it's supposed to be a high risk, high reward talent. So I don't understand that. I don't know. I wish I had more information available to understand what's in the dev's mind here. But yeah, that's the Atlas changes. And let's move on to the next one, Cassie. This is where it gets weird, because during the patch show, they showed changes and they showed what exactly they did. But here they didn't show it in the patch show. But this one I don't understand. Increase projectile speed by 5% and projectile size by 10%. I don't understand this change at all. Now, I like Cassie. I am a Cassie player. I enjoy Cassie a ton. But she was in a great state. She was balanced. She was playable. Not OP, not underwhelming, and playable in a lot of situations. I don't exactly understand why they're buffing her to make her easier to shoot with. because there was a skill with Cassie hitting your autos. Now, I get for the casual player base, which is most of the player base in Paladins, this makes her easier to use, and they might have noticed that her win rate and play rate at lower levels were way lower, and maybe they thought to fix those statistics, they decided to buff her aim. I don't know. I don't fully understand this change. And the developer commentary doesn't really help me understand it either. I, again, am okay with it because I'm a Cassie player and it helps land your shots easier and not as difficult, but I don't really understand this change, and I don't understand why it was a thing. Corvus. Officer Pistol. His auto attacks now do more damage, which make it very interesting and make him more competitively viable, in my opinion. Doing more damage is kind of like a Furia, right? Sometimes damage is better than healing on supports. A lot, especially late game with COD 3, if he's doing more damage at a higher effective range, which was the next buff, I might try him out. Next patch, I might give Corvus more of a look. But yeah, increase effective range from 110 to 125 is fall off. Basically, what effective range is at a certain point when you're shooting at somebody at a certain distance, your damage starts to fall off and you do less and less damage. And increasing effective range, make sure you're doing full damage at more at a longer distance. Projection, increase cooldown, reduction, choose not teleport from 1 second to 2 seconds. It's okay change. The biggest change though is the maximum range and the damage. I think are going to help him be more viable overall and ranked, because again, I think damage on supports is huge, and I think late game this is going to help Corvus a ton. So Evie, they actually talked about this in the patch notes show, and I do actually genuinely like this change. It's something very simple, but reduce time until teleport from point 2 to point 1. Evie's going to feel much cleaner to play, and you are going to get these insta teleports off, and you're going to get you're not going to get screwed over by thinking you hit teleport and it was a short delay and you died. You're going to live a lot more of the times. Even though it's 0.1 seconds, I think this is actually a really big quality of life change to Evie. And then over the moon buff, I'm interested to see if that 5% damage changes anything or changes her time to kill for certain characters. I don't know. That's something we'll have to test in PTS. Fernando. Thank God, Fernando. Nah. Get him out of here. Increase resource required to bring up shield from 15 to 20%. So whenever you put up your shield, or whenever you're low on your shield juices, which I have always called it juices, but in the patch notes show Nico also called it juices, which was hilarious. I don't know what else to call it whenever you have like a recharge. It's hilarious. But besides the point, basically now you have the 20% instead of 15%. Reduce the base rated shield generation by 11%. Again, they talked about this yesterday in a patch show. Percentages here don't really make sense because you don't actually know the numbers and how much it actually changes. It's okay, but it definitely is a nerf, let's just say. Increase time after taking damage to recharge your shield from 0.6 to 0.7, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. More nerfs. And then they also added a 1.5 second delay after shield is completely destroyed before being able to recharge again. So Fernando is nerfed. I wouldn't say into the ground, but he has received a big nerf and still probably is viable on point as a point tank, but is now in a state where I don't think he needs to be banned every game, and you can play against him and not be fully worried. So let's talk about the next one, Grover. Oh my God. Thank God I scrolled too far. Okay, Grover. I was saying this last patch, as you saw, I released a couple rampant blooming videos, and there was a reason, because I knew that Deep Roots was going to get nerfed. I don't have any insider information. I didn't know this from any of the devs. Deep Roots just needed nerfed. It's an unfun talent. It's fun to play. It's fun to play, and it's not fun to play against. It kind of got boring for me to play. Honestly, that's why I started playing rampant blooming. But Deep Roots totally got changed. Crippling throw. You know how it works now, but the new one is hitting an enemy with crippling throw will chain a lesser effect up to 3 enemies, slowing them for 35% for 2 seconds. So the way this works now is the first target gets crippled and then it bounces to other people and slows them. This is nowhere near as good as the root. And I believe rampant blooming is going to find its way into the meta, and Grover is going to stay a very strong support, though he's not going to be OP where I thought he was ban worthy, and he was getting banned less and less often as the rank season went on, but he was still getting banned. I don't think he's going to be bannable anymore, but I still think he's a very strong support. Rampant blooming, that's why we did this testing, is still a very good talent, and Grover is still going to be ran. Octavia. Now, in my stream yesterday when I was talking pre-stream, predictions, I predicted that Octavia was going to get a buff, but I had a weird idea where they were going to take her sights and make them more interesting, and make them your crosshair rather than the terrible sight that is right now on Octavia's scope, which is awful. The Skye sight is awful. And some people might disagree, but a lot of people I know agree. But they did buff her. She did end up getting a buff where she has 25 more damage when she ADSs or aim down sights, and increase her maximum effective range, which we talked about earlier for Corvus, from 100 to 125. Does more damage at range and does more damage in general when right clicking, and slightly increase the accuracy. Slightly increase the accuracy means nothing to me. I need to go test that in PTS to really understand what exactly slightly increase the accuracy means. Octavia buffs, well-deserved, and might be worth trying a little bit more, honestly. Saris, Mortal Reach. I understand this nerf. Saris was pretty dominant at a mid-tier level. I keep saying I'm going to release my low elo tier list. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. So Saris will be touched, let's just say, upon in that video, because Saris is probably one of the best low tier or low elo supports, just to make sure your team's not feeding. But they did nerf her for that reason. At a higher level, she was okay, but at a lower level, she was very, very strong. So she needed some sort of nerf, and it came to Mortal Reach when they reduced the effectiveness of each tick rate modification from 25 to 20%. Basically, she'll be healing a little bit less, and takes a little more time. It's not too big of a nerf, but it was a good nerf, though, honestly. Shaolin, I don't know. I don't fully understand these changes, but I do like them. This is a weird one. It's unlike the Cassie one, because let's just talk about withdrawal and rapid shot first. I thought, as a player and as a content creator and a Paladins gamer, that Shaolin was better than he was placed currently in the meta, and he should have been played more than he was. So he was already finding his way in the meta, and then they buff him. I think Shaolin's going to be one of the better damage dealers come next patch. Reducing the cooldown of your movement ability and one of your highest damage burst abilities. Now, rapid shot isn't your quote-unquote burst ability. It's typically your left click plus your right click with the 300 burst on the talent. But rapid shot pairs with that for an insta 1300, 600, then another 600. Reducing the cooldown of those two abilities are going to be massive for him. And then changing Desert Silence, I don't think is really going to change anything. But it might be a little bit more viable because it reduces the arrow cooldown by 1 second and cripples. And now silence and slows. The slow is actually a pretty big deal. Being able to slow people while you're trying to get your rapid shot out is really actually nice, because that ability can be hard to land sometimes. And having people slowed is good. And he does have a card for that, but running this talent, it makes this talent more viable to run because of the slow. But I think Shaolin, you're going to see a lot more of him being played next patch. And I think he's going to find himself in the way of the meta. Skye, okay, so I kept saying this on my stream and probably in some videos, but I wanted to test off support Skye because it felt very strong. Never got to it, but I've seen other people play it, and almost every single time has seemed very strong. Base healing reduced for smoke and daggers from 150 to 100, and smokescreen no longer applies invisibility to you. This seems like an overkill to me, but again, Skye might be performing at lower ranks better than I think, because I don't have this information to me. I don't have access to this information. She could be performing way better at lower ranks than I think currently, but I don't actually know, and these changes seem very weird as a competitive high-level Grandmaster ranked player. But I mean, again, I can see this from the developer's perspective and as a balancer in general, because you have to not just look at the higher end, you have to look at where your majority player base is. And if Skye was overperforming, then she was overperforming. People keep asking me what my opinions are on this, and those are my opinions. If she was overperforming, she deserved a nerf. We don't have this information available to us. I believe there are some websites to say what champions are performing at what ranks, but I don't have access to those. Anybody down in the comments, let me know if you know those websites off the top of your head, or I will try to find them at some point so I can use websites like that to look at these patches and really understand why they did things. Let me know if you know. Strix, Talon Rifle. Okay, so I really, really like these buffs, and again, we kind of guessed this one, let's just say. I had the thought that they were going to buff before the patch notes made predictions, like I said, and I had the guess that they're going to buff Strix's pistol But what they did is they nerfed the Talon rifle a while ago and made it increase time between shots, but they reverted some of that and made it from 1.25 to 1.2 just to make it feel a little bit better. And then they buffed the pistol, reducing the vertical and horizontal recoil by 15%. And now the gun is completely automatic, so reducing the recoil plus automatic makes it easier to just track somebody and not worry about clicking your mouse or clicking your trigger, and it makes it much easier to keep on target, so you're not clicking in your hand. You know, when you're clicking, your hand's moving a little bit. It's much easier to track people when you're holding something down than clicking. So that's actually a bigger buff than a lot of people think for his pistol. Terminus, yet another Terminus nerf, increase per resource consumption from 20% 22.5%. I didn't think Terminus was very prevalent in the meta. He was a point tank that was being picked, and that's it. When you play against the Terminus, it didn't feel any different than playing against a Inara. Playing against the Barrack is sometimes a little more scary. Same thing with Fernando. But Terminus didn't feel like he was completely overpowered. But, I mean, it's a small nerf. And he was probably performing, again, better than I thought. I'm not sure, though. Tyra, nade launcher, reduced damage from 700 to 650. And then into the fray, the DR on her nade from 5 to 4%. So basically at max range, which everybody was running into the fray, it would be 25% with 5, and then it'd be 20% with 4. I was told by a lot of Tyra players that you always go burn monster, but I always thought that the DR, even the new DR, was the better choice. This DR was insane. Every time I played against a Tyra as a damage dealer, I could not kill her because of this DR, and she just lives. She has so much health, plus so much DR, plus so much damage with her nade launcher. Honestly, I can understand the nerfs. I get them, and I'm kind of happy about it. Yeah, it was kind of unfun to play against Tyra and not be able to kill her ever. And finally, Vatu, Enveloping Shadows, reduce effectiveness from 15 to 12%. This is his talent that when you auto reduces your cooldowns by 15%, that got nerfed to 12%. I am very happy that Vatu did not get nerfed into the ground. Let me tell you, I am so happy about that because Vatu is so good for Paladins. We need mobility back. And in this way is very nice. Vatu is very easy to keep an eye on, except for when he's not running Enveloping Shadows. He's running the teleport to allies. Then he can really start losing track of him sometimes. But I do think Vatu is very good for the game, and I don't think he's overpowered. I think he was very balanced, and I'm glad they did not over nerf him. We're going to start seeing more Vatu, or we're going to keep seeing more Vatu, and we're going to keep seeing people adapting and adjusting to playing against Vatu. And I don't think you're going to see him being picked and banned every game like he is right now at a higher level, because he's being picked and banned a lot. I don't think he's that good. I just don't think a lot of players remember how to play against flankers because we've had double support meta for so long, and I've been preaching this. But those are the balance changes. To give my overall opinion, because again, people were asking for this a lot. Overall opinion, I think these changes are okay. I think some are a little bit weird and I don't understand, but again, I don't have the information that these developers and balancers do. The dev commentary didn't exactly help most of the time. I would like hi-rez to, with some changes, be very specific on why they changed it. This character was overperforming at these ranks, and this is our majority player base. So we would like to nerf it, or we are going to nerf it for that reason. As a PR, I don't think that's going to hurt hi-rez in a PR stance. I think if anything, it's going to help them because transparency is key, especially in a game like this where developers have to communicate constantly because you're constantly updating the game. I would like to see more transparency on why exactly balance changes are happening. And I know it takes more work and I know it takes more time, but again, transparency is key. So overall, I think the changes are okay. There are some weird ones in there, but I don't think anything here specifically like jumps out to me like, why would you ever do this? You're breaking the changes are small enough to where, just like the Cassie change, it is a weird change, but it's small enough where it's not gonna make that big of a deal. So overall, I like the changes. Again, a little bit weird, but those are the balance changes for the Trickshot patch. I want to do maybe a full patch notes review, but I'm going to leave that up to you all to look down in the comments and read it yourself because it's kind of boring sitting here and reading through everything and showing off everything. It's not very fun outside of balance changes, which I like talking about. Now, I could do an interesting video where I just clipped in some things together, important parts of patch notes, yada, 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 but that's, it's not my style right now. I enjoy sitting here and doing a full discussion about the balance and the patch notes itself. But I'm going to go ahead and call it there. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I also hope you enjoy your day, night, evening, morning, dawn, dusk, or whatever it is where you live. and I will see you in the next one. Later.